So obviously our theme is adapt to change, and just on the conversation that we're having, how do you know if you're choosing? How do you know, in your business when to adapt, when to choose to change? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. That's a little bit of a difficult question to answer, because again, that's going to be different in every single situation. But I think part of our culture around business is I just keep pushing, just keep pushing. And that's a good attitude that can be helpful at times. But there are times when you're like, I'm up against the wall and I need to take a hard right. So that's, I think that's going to be very personal in every company that you do. Honestly, I've personally been with a company that we took a hard pivot probably too soon. I think we could have built up a rather large customer base with our original product and pivoted hard. And then it kind of limited the growth of what we were able to do. It pushed our timeline back a year and a half. And that was because some investors were like, oh, you should be doing this instead. So it's a very personal thing. I think, you talk to your advisors, if you have investors, you talk to those, to the investors, and then you make the best decision you can. And is there something that we could push through? Is there a customer that we could get that would actually help this track work out? Or are people telling us like what we built actually doesn't work, or it's not what they need? If people are telling us it's not what they need, then that's probably a time for a pivot.
Yeah. Do people know that they don't need it? Because maybe at the beginning, before Airbnb, we didn't know that we needed an Airbnb because we have hotels and we have B&Bs and we have hostels. How do people know what they need? Because sometimes they don't know until it's there, until the service
is like
there.
the iPhone, isn't it? Like the iPhone.
We're all pretty in love with our flip phones.
Huh? I was fine with my Nokia.
With the brick.
Consumers aren't always gonna know. There are companies that are like, hey, we can make a massive change in society by doing this. I guess in that example, I'm more talking about, let's say you're a software company and you're going like, hey, our customers need, whatever our product is, it's a marketing tool or whatever. And if all these marketing agencies are saying, we don't need that, that's probably a time to go, okay, maybe this either needs a different use case, or we need to change how we're selling it, or we need to change the product. But certainly there are. We didn't know we needed computers. We didn't know cars, we were pretty happy with the horse and buggy.
And now we can't, I can't function without my MacBook Pro. If that starts to play up or stick, it actually sends panic sort of signals, because I think I can't function because I've become so attached to it and the ease at which I do my work. It's difficult to imagine my life without. I'm sure I could, but it wouldn't be so easy. So Peter, I really want to explore the idea of frustration when it comes to understanding the journey that people take when they are setting up their business or wanting to adapt. I know that personally I get frustrated with having to be patient and work with other people's timelines and embrace what I would deem as failures. But what advice could you give to our viewers about dealing with frustration and the journey of building a successful business?
I'll attack that, I guess, probably from two mindsets in my own brain. So I study under a Zen monk, and he would say that's what's here. That's just part of it. And I think that's true. That's one of the things that we have to get as any human, whether you're starting a company or not, you're going to deal with frustration. And learning how to not be overwhelmed by that, not let that drive your decision making. If you're really frustrated, you can sit with it. You can go punch a punching bag, or if there's something that's frustrating you that you can change it. To me, that's the most important thing, is go like, is there something I can change? Yes. Okay. Change it. That's easy. If not, okay, I'm going to go punch a punching bag for half an hour, wear myself out, and then go, okay, what's next? How do I move on to the next thing? I think that goes back to resilience, is what level of resilience do we have as within ourselves? And that was a big sign of burnout for me, because I always have been a fairly resilient person, where I'm like, okay, there's a problem, I can find a way around it, I can find another solution. And when I realized I wasn't able to do that as well, I was like, okay, there's something wrong here.
And so actually it's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable then, becoming, well, I guess, detached from the outcome of what you think success is, and just being at peace with frustration. So frustration is part of the process. Are there any other emotions that are part of the process of being financially independent, or your own sort of captain of your own commerce?
I think you're going to feel every human emotion along the way. You're going to have the highest highs, the lowest lows. You're going to be more angry than you've ever been in your life. You're going to be sadder. You're going to experience every one of those things starting a business. And if you keep those from controlling you, then you've got a good shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely would say that it's a learning curve. I mean, it's the steepest learning curve I've ever had. It's just...
Yeah,
you're expected to know like 10 different areas.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
yeah.
I need to be able to develop a product, sell, market, do online
do
stuff.
Accounts, know all the ins and outs of what's going on with the HMR, with the tax man,
and smile and pitch it and sell it, and so why? I'm just curious as to why. Is it because of, I don't know, TV shows like Dragon's Den or The Apprentice that makes the idea of business, 0 to 10? I've started my business. Oh, I've made $10 million. So where's this concept that building a business is just straightforward? It's just you just go in one direction, when actually it's backwards and forwards. It's an ever-moving jigsaw puzzle. Where's this concept that business is just straightforward?
I mean, I blame Facebook.
I agree. I think we all love to hear success stories, like early success stories, and so we build up these heroes that we build up the child prodigies in every area. Singers, actors. We love them, and in business it's the same thing. It might not happen at 10, but I mean, I have a good friend. I think he was 15 when he sold his first company.
Wow.
For $500,000, I think, when he was 15. And he's awesome. He's a rock star, but most people aren't going to be that. That's a pretty rare thing. And so, I think the way I've started to look at business is really it's a model for my own personal development along the way. And so success then is going to be, yes, it's great when you hit a big financial goal. It's great when you hit a big product goal or whatever it is. But it's also the everyday is what matters. I mean, you look at someone like Kobe Bryant, for instance. He won 6 championships, but I think he loved doing the work every day. I mean, he was up at 2:30 or 3 a.m. every morning shooting hoops.
Oh.
And I think that's where you can really see the people that are going to grind and do well and enjoy their lives along the way versus the people that are like, I want this to be fun. I'm going to play business. I'm going to meet people, tell people how much I'm doing, how hard I'm working, all this kind of stuff. And those, I don't think that type of person is going to be successful because they're not actually enjoying the work. They're enjoying talking about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, so I think we joked about this a little bit in the pre-call, but about playing business and how, I told you there's one entrepreneur that I consult with. Great guy. He came to me. He was like, "Man, I have meetings 14 hours a day," and I was like, "How do you have meetings 14 hours a day? Like, what? How many of these are actually driving your business forward?" And we've started cutting things out. In our last meeting, I said, "I want 5 things that you can cut out this week." And it's now down to like, I actually have like 3 hours of meetings a day, maybe that might actually help drive my business forward. I think as entrepreneurs, it's easy to fall in love with like, I feel like I'm doing something, rather than actually moving the needle. And that's a really important distinction to be able to find out in yourself.
It is difficult to do that. It is difficult to do that because you get caught up in, for example, doing your own website and tweaking your website, making sure the language is good and making sure your social media. But actually, are you talking to prospects? Do they even know you exist? I mean, it is, and then you just get caught up in everything. So I can imagine it is, and then I think that's also where kind of the burnout does come into play, where you're busy, but you're actually busy doing nothing.
You're not pushing the needle forward. And Peter, you also brought up a really interesting talking point where you said, and I was fascinated by it personally, the difference between a founder and a CEO. What's the actual different demands, and what's can you talk about the myth of or the psychology behind all these big titles, but what does it actually demand of that person? Because I think if my thinking is correct, my memory is correct, when we were talking before, you were saying a CEO is completely different to a founder. A founder may not be able to do X, Y, and Z, make certain decisions, but a CEO can do. Can you speak more on that?
Yeah. I think as a founder, you're really stuck in the minutia of everything. Like let's say you're building some sort of technological product. So you're actually building hardware. So you're actually focused on how do we build this thing? Like every single part of it you're intensely involved with. And when there's 3 of you, that's fine. Everybody does everything. There aren't really roles. You're all co-founders. You're all really smart and adaptive and able to work on things. You all have a lot of ownership, so you're really invested, right? But once you bring on, 3, 5, 10 more people, as a CEO, you really have to have a much broader vision. So you're able to see every part of this. You want to see where you're going and help direct the team to get there. So your engineers are going to be a key part of that. Your salespeople are going to be a key part of that. Your marketers are going to be a key part of that. And all of them need to understand how important their role is in getting the full team to that goal. And so you have to take a much bigger picture view. You probably have to have harder conversations. You have to manage people rather than just go, there's 3 of us in a garage. We're working really hard. And everybody's invested 100%. And that's all we're focused on is just this little thing. We're spending all our days over this thing in the garage. And so I think that's a big difference. And you see a lot of people really struggle with that. They're used to being involved in every single piece of the business. So they either can't give that up. And so they're too involved. They're involved in all the minutia. Or they want to give it away to everybody else. They're like, everybody else do this. I'm going to be at the top and I don't really pay attention. And you kind of see those 2 extremes where the healthy CEO is probably somewhere in the middle. And able to see the larger vision, direct people to that, and communicate really well in that.
Right. So there is a difference between being. That's a really interesting perspective because being a founder, you're you're kind of dividing your passion into passion or your drive. It's been diluted into everything. Yeah. Whereas I think what you're saying is the CEO is going to have a laser focus on these areas and what they can do, what they can't do, and then delegate that. Whereas the founder is too emotionally involved.
Yeah, you're involved in every single little piece of it, and then you can't be. Especially the larger your company grows, you can't be involved in every single piece of it. So you have, the people right under you that you trust a lot to direct, and they trust people right under them. And so you've then got this kind of organization of people that the information gets filtered as it comes up and up and up, and then you kind of guide that. Is our sales department selling in a way that's driving us toward our larger goals? Is marketing supporting sales? Is our product actually functioning in a way that's allowing sales to sell really well and honestly? And those all kind of, we kind of look at them as different areas, and you see salespeople and operations people, they butt heads often, but in a good company, they're all heading in the same direction.
And so you have to do some thought processes to relinquish the control, because it could mean that some decisions have to be made that don't necessarily fit in with the original idea that you had for the company. That can be quite painful, right?
Absolutely. That's your baby. You've been working on this for however long, and that's your baby. And you may have to go, it's not working in the way that we want. I mean, there's a company I work with that they are in the middle, their CRO is in the middle of making some changes in their product. He's helping to direct that. And the CEO knows they need to do it, but on an emotional level, it's really hard for him to allow that to change, because he's been working on this for 4 years. And so he knows it's right, but emotionally it's really hard for him. And so he started out by going like, oh, customers are stupid because they don't get this. And the CRO is like, no, they're not stupid. The customers are really smart, and maybe they don't need exactly what we built, so we need to tweak it a little bit. But it's a hard thing. I mean, you think 4 years, think about having a 4-year-old child. That's essentially, in an entrepreneur, it's a very similar thing.
And you have to allow your little one to go to school and have somebody else hold their hand and take them into the classroom, and you've got tears coming down like, no, don't do that. That's a real eye opener for me, because I was of the thinking that if you're a founder, you have to be emotionally involved in everything. You have to, like, if you don't, who else? But that's really been an eye opener for me. I've been thinking on this.
I think you're going to be emotionally attached. If you're starting a company, you are going to be emotionally attached. Yeah. But like you said, when you have a child, it's heartbreaking to take it to school, but it's going to change. It's going to grow. And a company in the same way. If you want to keep your child 3 years old, that's not going to go well.
Arrested development.
Yeah, it's going to develop, and it's going to change. It's going to grow. It's going to start to think for itself. And with a company, I think very similarly, you have to be able to let go and go, here's a different way. We have to go in this direction. So even though this was my baby that I started, 4 years ago, we have to change it in order for it to grow and be successful.
Yeah.